Okay, Be'ezat Hashem, Na'aseh v'natzliach. I'd like to welcome everyone to Ironside Lunch Learn. I want to give an honorable mention to our gracious host, Ofer Mizrahi and Judah Mendel. Hashem v'arech otchem v'sameach otchem for all the efforts you put into putting this together every single week. This week's end, I want to give also an honorable mention to our good friends that visit us here. Now they are regulars. We have over here Ken and Dotan. Thank you guys for being here. This week's parasha is Parashat Balak. You know, more and more, if we study Sefer Bamidbar, it's one of the most interesting sefarim out of the Chamisha Chumsha Torah. Each week is action-packed with different concepts, different scenarios, different events. It's really enjoyable. This week's parasha talks about a wizard, a black magic sorcerer by the name of Bilaam that was contracted by the king of Moab called Balak, which some say was the first Blake in history, and all in order to destroy the Jews. Last year we gave a little bit of an insight to Bilaam and his character and the way that he looked. This year, we're going to take a different approach on this parasha. Who is Bilaam? First, you should understand that Bilaam comes from the strand of Esav. He's one of the sons of the captains of, or one of the kingdoms of Esav. His name is Bilaam ben Tzipor. Why do they call him Bilaam ben Tzipor? Bilaam ki hu ratza livlo'a am. He wanted to swallow a nation. Another tyrant, another Hitler, another Ahmadinejad, another one that wants to destroy the Jews. Here's another one. Bilaam, Balaam, ben Tzipor. How can be a son of a bird? Rather, they say ben Tzipor. It's like more like a Baal Tzipor. He owned a bird. What kind of a bird? It was a bird that he would send out, and it would look on the wherever he sent it, and back home he would look at a pot of water, and whatever the bird would see over there, he'd be able to see on the pot of water, or it would be a mar'ah, like a little window, a chalon, and he would see through the chalon. So he had, like, you could say also, the first drone in history. That he sends out the bird and you can see on a screen what's going on top. And they said he used to be in Ben Be'or. Be'or is his father's name. However, Be'or or Be'iro, it's another word for animal. He was a pervert, this guy. He used to partake in bestiality. He used to sleep with animals. Most specifically, the donkey in the story. The donkey in the story, Chazal tell us, it's the Eshet HaSatan, the Lamed Yud and Lamed Yud and Taf that was incarnate in this particular donkey, and he would have relations with her. Why? Because he was a sorcerer from the dark side. In order to be a sorcerer from the dark side, you need to be a master of tum'ah. You have to letamet unholy. If he's in Masechet Brachot, it brings it a lot of different things of what people used to do in order to become unholy, sleeping in cemeteries, touching dead animals, carrying dead animals, doing sort of different types of witchcraft. Bestiality is another way of getting completely to the lowest levels of Tumah. So in order for him to keep that level of Tumah, he had to do his original profession was that they say that he became one of the highest to ever live in that particular field. You know, Kadosh Baruch Hu keeps it fair. Just like we had the Moshe Rabbeinu, who was the ultimate prophet, and there will never be one like him. He was like the top of the Kedusha. Similarly, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave the Goyim somebody who was on that same caliber. And who was it? It was Bilaam. Why? So later on when Mashiach comes and it's the big judgment day of all judgment days, and all the Goyim are going to line up and say, hey, you know what? The Jews had Moshe. If we had somebody like Moshe, then, we'd also be on a different path. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave them who? Gave them Bilaam. He was also on a very high level. Not like Moshe, but for his particular level, he was very high. And instead of taking his power to the positive, he took it to the negative. As a matter of fact, if you remember a few years, I think last year, we spoke about on the lesson of the goat of Azazel, right? The ones that in the time of Yom Kippur, the Kohen Gadol pushes off the cliff. Which cliff did he push these goats on? It's the goats that go to the Har of Azazel. It's a mountain. Like we say in Hebrew, Shilech LaAzazel. Where is this place, Azazel? It's a mountain in Jerusalem that inside that mountain there are two Shedim. One is called Az and the other one is called Azael. And these are from the times of the giants, from the time of the Bereshit, that are now shackled under that mountain. And they are part of the Yetzer Hara and they're part of the evil forces. Bilaam went there for school. The Gemara speaks of if you want to go and even work, go even to be with them, you have to take a black cat that came from a female black cat, burn the ashes, do certain things, mix it up, put it on your eyes, and then when you come over there, a 7-headed cat comes and leads you to them, and you can only be with them for 3 days, and they teach black magic, and you leave. Bilaam stayed there for weeks. Bilaam was able to stay there for a very long time. So you can see this guy was heavy into the Tum'ah. He was also known as a Situm Ayn. What's Situm Ayn? He had one eye. One eye was closed. That's the eye that never sinned. And one eye was open. And the whole concept of Ayn Hara that we say, how come we don't say Einayim Ra'ot? How can we say Ayn Hara, only one eye, Ayn Hara? Doesn't make sense. If somebody puts a Einayim Ra'ot, why do we say Ayn Hara? Why would we use the terminology that's in a singular? It comes from Bilaam. When he stood on top of the mountain, what did he try to do? He tried to give them Ayn Hara. He tried to curse them with that one eye. One of the beginning sources of that is with Bilaam. When he came to curse the Jewish people, in this week's parasha, we see that there's different words for curse. We know that the word for cursing in Hebrew is klala. But here we see that there's the word avali. He tells them, he says arali, from the word aru, to be cursed. And then he uses another word, kavali. So what's the difference between all these words? Klala comes from the word kal, light. What does that mean? To make something light? Lekalel. It means that you take somebody, instead of giving him the honor and the respect and the dignity that he is, you're making light of him. As to mekalel oto. By the words that you say and the energy that you're putting towards him. Arali, that comes from the word arur, means curse for me. So what did the king of Moab say? Curse for me this nation, so they go and they don't come into my land. Kavali means, pinpoint this particular one right here, right now. This one, it's a more intense way of cursing. By the way, when I heard Cavalli, I said, this is also the birth of the design firm, Roberto Cavalli. The Roberto Cavalli, this one over there, it's so interesting. Even their logo is a snake. I don't know, maybe there's a connection, maybe there isn't. But here's the word Cavalli. This particular curse that Bilaam was contracted to do comes very interesting from the Pesukim. Take a look at this. It says, that the king of Moab וירא בלק בן ציפור את כל אשר עשה ישראל לאמורים. So Balak ben Tzipor saw all that. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. When I meant Balak ben Tzipor, the thing with the bird is Balak. It wasn't Bilaam. Balak ben Tzipor, he saw all that happened to the Amorim. In the last week's parasha, the Jewish people wiped out the Amorim. Sichon melech ha-Amori, ve'og melech ha-Bashan. Those were two giants that were gangsters. They said, we are giant, nobody can ever beat us in war. Give us money, give us food, give us what we want, and we'll protect you. And they were gangsters. They were asking for protection money. When Moshe Rabbeinu came to fight with them, he beat both of them. He beat Sichon and beat Og. So Vayar Balak ben Tzipor kol asher Yisrael Emori, he said, whoa. That guy, that big giant, the size of a building, was protecting us, was protecting them. What are we going to do now? This was the gangster for the entire region. So he was scared. So he says, what happened? He says, the Jewish people, their strength is not in their body. Their strength is in their mouth. So what does he do? If their strength is in their mouth, I have to get somebody who's just as strong in his mouth. So what did he get? He went to get a sorcerer. Why? If they know how to win with their mouth, I'll get somebody to curse them with their mouth. Again, he made his own calculation and he was practically right. Almost. And he comes to him and he says, "Vayishlach malachim el Bilaam ben Beor Petora asher al hanar." And he starts to go and get Bilaam. Before we get started on the story of Bilaam, there's a special Mishnah I want to read to you that we usually read in the time of Pirkei Avot between Pesach and Shavuot. It says, in the 5th parak of Pirkei Avot, it says, "Yerevam ben Nevat chata v'chtit harabim, chete harabim talui bo shene'amar." Okay, chet harabim talui bo shene'amar. כל מי שיש בו שלושה דברים הללו, הוא מתלמידיו של אברהם אבינו. Whoever has these three character traits within him, you know that he is from the school, from the house, he is a student of Avraham Avinu. What are those three characters? ושלושה דברים אחרים הוא מתלמידיו של בלעם הרשע. And if he has three opposites of this, he's from the school of Bilaam Harasha, which is in this week's parasha. Okay, what is it? Ayin tova, veruach nemucha, venefesh shefela, tamidav shel Avraham Avinu. One who has a good eye, and we went into detail before what's a good eye. You know, having a good heart, making, being connected, feeling for another Jew, for what they need, for what they want, that you can help, being connected, ayin tova. That when somebody is succeeding, you're happy for him, not jealous of him, ayin tova. Veruach nemucha, humble, anav, venefesh shefela, and someone who's not looking for liot gavtan, someone who's, is down to earth, as we say. Now he gives us the three things of Bilaam. Ayin ra'ah, a bad eye. Ruach gevoha, big time gavtan, big time pride. Always wants to be, on top of people. V'nefesh rechava. Nefesh rechava means a nefesh, it's so wide, it can never be satisfied. It always wants more, always wants more. We'll come back to this Mishnah. Now take a look. The Pirkei Avot tell us something also very interesting. It says, that there are three things that a person has that are terrible for a person. It says, Ate'ava, Hakin'ah, מוציאים את האדם מן העולם. Let's see where it is. Here, רבי אלעזר הכפר אומר, הקנאה והתאווה והכבוד מוציאים את האדם מן העולם. Jealousy, desires, and chasing honor take a person out of this world. So we just read 2 Mishnayot, and you can see them word for word right now in this week's parasha. Look at this. When Balak comes to ask Bilaam to come work for him, what does he tell him? Vaishlach malachim el Bilaam. He sent them like messengers. And he asked them to come and curse the Jewish people. What does he say? I'm sorry, I can't come with you. Why? It's not from his kavod that you send him the secretary to tell him, come, I need you. Secondly comes, V'alchu zikne Moav ve'zikne Midian. Oh, zikne. These are higher ups. These are already officials that are in both nations. They sent him over there, trying to convince him to come. What does he tell them? He says, stay here. I'm not saying yes, I'm not saying no, I'm not sure. After that, Bilaam says, Vayomer Bilaam, Ela Elohim, Balak ben Sipor Melech Moav shalach elai. He says, don't you understand? I'm one that talks to God. You're going to send me these regular people? What do we see over here? He's chasing the kavod. He wants more and more and more and more people. Then he goes, Kavali et ha'am, and he goes, I will give you all the money that you want. What does Balak answer? What does Bilaam answer? Even if you give me all the treasures that you have, and you fill up my entire house with gold, I'm still not going to go. So he already set a price. He said, even if you give me everything, I'm not going to go. So he understood he has to give him that and more. Ta'ava for the money. And what was the kin'ah? Who was he jealous of? He was jealous of Moshe Rabbeinu and Am Yisrael. Now, a person that has these 3 character traits inside of him, what happens? He's bound to die. If you have those character traits inside of you, you can never live. A person who's jealous, a person who's chasing his desires, a person who's chasing kavod, eventually it's a pathway to destruction. Let's see how it pans out in this story. It says that Bilaam finally, after he got convinced to go, the pasuk says in the 3rd aliyah, Vayakom Bilaam baboker vayachavosh et atono vayelech im sarei Moav. He says eventually he woke up the following morning, and he put the saddle on his donkey. By the way, there's 2 words to donkey in Hebrew. There's chamor and aton. What's the difference? The chamor is a male, the aton is a female. Ve'ilech im sarei Moav, and he went with it. Doesn't that pasuk sound familiar? That somebody woke up in the morning and he saddled up his donkey and he also went with a few people. Doesn't that sound familiar to you? It sounds a lot like Akedat Yitzchak. In Akedat Yitzchak it says, Vayashkem Avraham baboker, vayachavosh et chamoro, vayikach et shnei na'arav ito, etc., etc., etc. 2 pesukim that are practically identical. Look at this. Look what happens with Avraham. Vayashkem Avraham baboker. You know what's Vayashkem? That's when you wake up before dawn. Avraham Avinu, when it came to mitzvah, he woke up early to do it. How does Bilaam do it? Vayakom Bilaam baboker. He woke up 10, 11, whatever. It's the morning. It's still sunshine. Vayachvosh et chamoro. That's Avraham Avinu. Vayachvosh et atono. Why would Avraham's donkey be a male donkey and Bilaam's a female donkey? Why didn't Bilaam also have a male donkey? They're usually stronger, right? Because we explained before, he was a sick pervert. He needed to be a female so he can be with her. Vayikach et shnei na'arav ito. And over here, vayilach im sarei Moav. Vayikach, vayelech. What's the difference between vayikach and vayelech? Vayikach, I'm in control. I'm taking. Shnei na'arav ito. What's shnei na'arav? We have inclination. We have the good inclination, the bad inclination. Avraham Avinu took whatever ta'avot and desires that he had, vayikach et shnei na'arav ito. Why? Vayachvosh et chamoro. What's vayachvosh et chamoro? הוא כבש את החובריות שלו. His materialism, whatever it was holding on that was materialistic to this world, he held it in his hand, in his own control. Over here, Bilaam, vayelech, where he let the desires walk him. They directed him. He didn't direct himself. So, Masechet Brachot brings an interesting point. It says over there that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gets angry once a day, lerega. Hashem has one moment where he's furious or angry for a split second, lerega. So they say, what is rega? What is this, on the stopwatch, what's rega? So the Tosfot says, lememra. What's lememra? As long as it takes you to say rega. How long does it take to say rega? Rega, 1 second. That's how long Hashem is angry for a day, for like a split second. And apparently Bilaam knew that particular second, and as soon as he was angry, Bilaam was going to say a curse in order for Hashem to curse the Jewish people. Of course, that Bilaam didn't know the exact moment, because Hashem was constantly fluctuating it, and the Gemara says that also on those particular days, it didn't happen. But what kind of curse can you say in 1 minute? In a split second? What curse can you say in 1 second? A curse, you need to say, destroy them, kill them, fire, hurricane. You need more than 1 second to express a name of a curse. So Hazal tell us he was able to put one word together that he could say in that rega. He says when it came to curse for that rega that Kadosh Baruch Hu is angry, what was the word he used? Kalem. Chaf lamed mem. Kalem. What's kalem? Annihilate them. He was very shrewd. He was very smart. He knew what he was doing. And he says, why did he use the word kalem? It's because of his mentality, the way that he was thinking. Kalem stands for kaved, lev, moach. You should know that the neshama resides right here. The lev, we know, is what pumps the desires. The kaved, that's the ta'avot. That's all where, that's where we don't want to be. And when he said kalem, what's kalem? He says that my kaved and my lev are controlling my moach. My ta'avot and my desires and my vices are controlling my mind. Curse him like that, from a person that has that attitude. But the truth is, anything that Bilaam wanted to do, what happened? The complete opposite. As a matter of fact, he tried so many times to curse. He went on this mountain, on that mountain. He brought this korban, he brought that korban. At the end, he was looking at a sea of tents of Am Yisrael. And as he is ready to come and curse, what comes out? A blessing. He blesses at the end of the parasha, you see one big blessing of Am Yisrael. What happened? Why did it become opposite? Because the kalem, the chaf lamed mem, the kaved lev mem, got turned upside down also and turned into melech. Moach lev kaved. What's the melech? He says, you want to go against the melech? You want to go against the king? And the king, these are his children. That first is the head, and that controls the lev and the kaved, completely opposite from you. Everything got turned upside down, from your mentality to your curse. What's very interesting over here is the narrative of this parasha. If you really pay attention to it, if you read Parashat Shavua, normally it's God speaking to an individual, and we're like almost privy to the conversation. Or there's an introduction. We are now in Egypt, and the Jews are slaves, or we're now in the desert. And then God spoke to Moshe. It's like a camera following the scene, and then we're talking to this and that. It's like very interesting. If you pay attention, this week's parasha is very unique. It's almost like a third-person camera. It's like a different camera. It's like we're all just doing one shot with one camera all the time following the Jews, and then it goes like, oh, wait, here's a different camera in a different place, in a different scenario showing what's going on. How do we know what Balak and Bilaam were talking about? How do we know? How do we know this conversation? How do we know the back and forth? How do we know this? The entire Torah is almost like a zoom in, zoom out on anything that's relevant to the Jewish nation and the characters of the story. All of a sudden, Balak and Bilaam is like a third-person narrative. And what's in this third-person narrative? What do we have? Two of the most evil people in the world at that time, plotting to kill the Jews, and not only kill, to annihilate. And not only that, not something that's visible. There's no arrows, there's no tanks, there's no machetes, there's no spears. They're behind the scenes doing things that we can't see on a very high level. An evil sorcerer that knows how to use his tongue, that has been privy to even have a nevuah from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So how could it be? This is a Musar Heskell. This is something you have to know in life. You know, the rabbis told us that Parashat Balak is one of those parashiyot that Chazal almost put into our Siddur to say every day. It's one of those parashiyot that we were supposed to read from beginning to end every day in order not to forget. That's how important this parasha is. Did you know that? As a matter of fact, in the end of each tefillah, we have Eser Zechirot. These are 10 things that a Jew cannot forget every day. It says over there, these are 10 things that you have to remember every day. By the way, if you ever want to make a quick 10 mitzvot, if you want to make 10 mitzvot quickly, in 1 minute, this is like one of the best things. Right after tefillah, there's nothing like starting the day with 10 mitzvot. And it takes you less than a minute. What are they? You have to remember. Ve'eluhen, Yetziat Mitzrayim. Yeah, I remember. I was a slave in Egypt. HaShabbat. Who can forget Shabbat? The most beautiful day in the world. Haman, the heavenly bird that came from the heavens. Yes, God, you're the only one that gives us our sustenance, even in the middle of the desert where it's impossible. U'Maaseh Amalek. Don't forget Amalek. Remember, we just came out of Egypt. They came on top of us. They wanted to start war against the most powerful nation, the God's nation. We'll never forget Amalek. They're our arch nemesis. They're our enemy. U'Ma'amad Har Sinai. Yes, Har Sinai. We stood. We had the Matan Torah. We can never forget that moment. All the things that the Jewish people did to anger God in the desert. Ubiflat Ba'egel. And specifically, the golden calf. And the seventh remembrance that we have to remember every single day. Don't forget what Balak and Bilaam tried to do against the advice of Hashem. Bilaam came to Hashem. He says, Hashem, this king is hiring me to go curse the Jews. What should I do? He tells them, don't do it. What did he do? He wanted to do it anyways. Don't forget, don't ever forget. Anytime we have a very major tragedy, what's the 2 words that we always tag to it? Don't forget. 9/11, don't forget, never forget. We have it here, the first never forget. We have to remember it. Why? I'll just finish the list before we continue. Never forget the well. מצוות וזכרת את השם אלוקיך כי הוא נותן לך כוח לעשות חיל. God is the only שרבתי באמת תקונן במאמן. That we remember that Jerusalem is going to get built. So now, why do we need to remember and never forget Balak and Bilaam? It's very easy. Because in every generation, no matter where we are in the world, there are always evil people behind the scenes that we can't see that are plotting to kill the Jews. The reason why Hashem doesn't want us to forget Balak and Bilaam, because right now we're sitting in Miami and all the Jews are sitting all over the world, but there's a Balak and a Bilaam in the world that we can't see and we don't know what's going on with them and they want to destroy us. Sometimes they're visible. Sometimes they go on the news and they'll tell you to your face, I want to destroy you. But there's also Balak and Bilaam behind the scenes doing it. How did the story end? The story ends that they lose. The story ends that Balak and Bilaam both die. And there was no war. And nothing happened. So you can imagine all these people, everything that they're planning, the Jews, the guy's sitting in front of his tent, eating his man. The other guy's opening up a book, studying Torah. They don't know what's going on. Life is good. Like us right now, life is good. Behind the scenes, who knows what's going on? Similarly to the terrorists, when they come and they have these strap-on bombs, yeah? How many times did they blow up in the garage while they put the wires wrong together? Do we know that? That story makes the news? It never makes the news. It's a classic Balak and Bilaam story that Hashem takes care of it for us without us knowing it. How many tyrants, how many people, how many terrorist cells are in the world that are right now preaching to a room full of people, kill the Jews, kill this, kill that, and eventually we don't hear nothing about them. Why? Because some way, somehow Hashem takes care of it for us. We don't want to give an idea of what happens to them. But Hashem gets rid of them for us. Never forget that there's always going to be a Balak and Bilaam in the world, and Hashem is going to protect them from us, and we don't even know. That's why when you pray, you say, "Kadosh Baruch Hu, toda rabba al kol hachesed she'ata oseh imi, kol ma shegalui v'kol ma shenistar." Thank you, Hashem, for all the goodness that you bring into my life, all that is revealed, that I can see. Look, God is good. Look how good God is to me. Look, I'm sitting in an air-conditioned room. Look, I have food in front of me. I have a glass of water. I have a job. I have a car. I have a family. You get all these things that you could say thankful for. But what about all the things that are behind the scenes that you don't even know that Hashem is doing that's for your good? Kol ma shegalui v'kol ma shenistar. That's what's happening over here. Hashem protected us, but nistar. We didn't even know about it. But the story ends badly. The story ends with 24,000 people, 24,000 Jews dying. He couldn't kill the Jews, but he gave a very good advice. He told Balak, I can tell you one thing. The God of the Jews hates zima. He hates promiscuity. He hates people that are not careful with their sexuality. And what did they do? The guy took his daughter and sent her along with several other women into the Jewish camp as if they are selling trinkets. Oh, look, we have jewels. Oh, look at these beautiful necklaces. They started to get in. And Jews, we love shopping. So, let me take a look, sure. And she says, if you like this, I have more over here. And they would grab them from the camp. They would bring them into their tents over there. And they would let them drink. And they would let them eat. And later on, they did what they did. And in the end, this Magifa that came in killed 24,000 people. He ended up finding the thing that hurts the Jewish people. What hurts the Jewish people? The Zima. When Hashem sees Zima, there's no protection from Zima. We have to be very, very careful of that. So we see that he wasn't able to hurt us directly with his curses, but the Zima, there's no apotropos la'arayot. There's no defensive angel or defensive lawyer for the arayot. When you go up to the Shamayim and they tell you, okay, you have a case. In the case of Mr. Cohen and Mr. Levy, what are you going to say when it came to this Zima over here? The defensive lawyer disappears. He says, I can't defend you on that. Everything else, murder, killing, stealing, lying, maybe I'll have a defensive lawyer that can help you out. Why, this, that, it could be. Comes to Zima, he disappears. Very, very interesting. So we learned from the Parashat Balak that Hashem is always protecting us behind the scenes, that there's always these evil tyrants that are out for us. We are the nation of the Melech, where the Moach controls the Lev and the Kaved. And even though the people want to curse us, Kalem, the people that are connected to the Ta'avot, they will always be out there. And if you pay attention to that, you fall into the trap of Ta'ava and the Zima. Be'ezrat Hashem, that we should merit to be the Talmidei Avraham, that have what? Ayin Tova, Ruach Nemucha, V'nefesh Shefira. Shabbat Shalom.